SwoleBenji here. Today we're going to be doing some weapon testing because they announced the Infernal Scythe will now have, Scythe, whatever you want to call it, will now have an execute mechanic. And this is all at maximum spec, all with the same gear, and we are testing the Infernal Scythe. I'm going to call it a Scythe because that's what I've always called it. Versus the Bloodletter with an 8.3 crit candle versus the Great Axe, and we're going to see which does the most damage. So we're going to start actually with the Great Axe. And we're not going to use any damage buffs. We're not going to use any steroids. We're not going to use any kind of armor shreds or potions. We are just testing damage. So as I've said in previous videos, the sarcophagus here is one of the best things you can test damage on. It has a lot of HP. It has a similar armor to that of players. This is generally about what a target of 1200 IP will be tanky in leather. Essentially, the damage you do to this is about the same damage you will do to a player. Sort of, not exactly. Sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. It depends on their armor type and their IP. Anyway, let's do this. So we're going to first calculate Whirlwind damage. So here we go. 3,225. We're going to put that into our calculator, and I'm going to now Whirlwind it. Again, this is at maximum spec. So that is now minus 1797. So we did 1,428 damage with that. Alright. So that is going to be our axe baseline. And let us just add that to the screen. Alright, let's pop that up. There we go. Great Axe E, 1,428. Alright, now we're going to get the baseline for the Infernal Scythe. Alright, so we've ran out of combat, we've run back in. The boss, or I'm sorry, this monster has now reset its health, and we're going to just press E on it. Alright, so that would be 3225, and then we will minus 2151 to get 1074. Alright, so you can see that it's already a little bit less damage, and that's okay. They're about the same cooldown, I believe. We'll check that. There we go. Alright, now that we have... Did I spell that correctly? I did spell that correctly. Alright. Cooldowns. This is a 20-second ability, and on the Great Axe, it is 25 seconds. So now we can kind of start doing a little bit of DPS calculation here. So just open that back up. We're going to take 1428 divided by, what was it, 25. It's 57.12 DPS, right? Which is not entirely accurate, I understand. You should really do the DPS of how long it takes to hit the enemy, but this is just cooldown damage, okay? 1074 now divided by, and that was 20 seconds, 53.7. You can see it's still a little bit lower than the Great Axe, of course. Now we're going to do Bloodletter, which is another execute weapon. It does more damage if they are below 40% health. And you can see on the tooltip, it does do more damage, right? It has a higher cooldown. It does more damage if they are below 40%. But the Scythe hits twice, okay? So does both hits do the execute? I'm confused. Oh, okay, now the second hit is the only one that's the execute. All right. So we're just going to hit this target now. Let me get my calculator ready. 3225. And we're just going to press E. And that did... Okay, so we're going to hit minus 2439. And that did 786. So we're going to run out of combat now. Again, this is what I do like literally all day on the test room, guys. I just want to make a video showing you how you can get numbers, okay? So Bloodletter did that much damage. And then we're going to divide that by 30 seconds, which is 26.2. As you can see, like, that's pretty crappy, right? But you normally would not do this to a target that isn't injured. So now that we have those three numbers, and you know what? Let's just make this a little more professional here on the screen, because we are doing E-abilities. There we go. So now, let's actually line this up and do... Great Axe Q3 and change that here. So Q3 was recently reworked. When I say Q3, I mean the third Q ability. So Q1 is Rending Strike, Q2 is Rending Spin, and Q3 is Rending Rage. So now we're going to just hit all three as fast as possible. 3225 HP. Plug that into the calculator. All right, make sure that my mic is still on. It is. All right, so boom, boom, and boom. And then we're going to let the bleed out because we want that damage. Okay, so 2151. So that did 1074 damage, full combo, with a cooldown of... Hold on, what's the cooldown? Cooldown is 6 seconds. Alright, cool. So we're going to divide that number now by 6, and that is 179 DPS. There we go. Alright, so now... Q3, obviously here now, we can put this on. And yes, they will do different damages. Like, for instance, Great Axe has a physical damage value of 268. Infernal Sith has 280. So it is much stronger. So we're going to get the DPS values of that now. Plug that into the calculator. Let's go. Oh, I used the wrong Q spell. Oops. And you could do tests yourself to see if Q2 is better than Q3. I personally like Q2 for PvP and for mob clearing, honestly. But they did rework it, so it might be worth it now. I don't know. I'll have to run dungeons and test that, okay? But for now, we're just getting damage values. So there's Q, Q, and Q. And let's see if it's the same amount. I'm just gonna dodge this while the target bleeds. 2,100. Right? 2,100 for 1125 damage. And how much is that divided by 6 is 187.5. So you can already see that the Infernal Sith has a better Q DPS. But what about our Bloodletter? And for Bloodletter, you would normally use Q2 because that's your mobility. It's a big attack. It's the biggest damage hit. It's bigger than Q1. Forbidden Stab, you know, I kind of want to play with that one too, but we're going to go with Deadly Swipe, and that was a cooldown of 4 seconds. Alright, so let's get our calculator ready. 3225 minus, and just how much do we hit this bad boy for? 300 and, oh, let me do the calculator. 2912. That is 313 over 4 seconds. Alright, and then divide that by 4. 313 divided by 4 is 78.25. So right now it looks like the Bloodletter is clearly losing, right? So now let's do executes. Alright, let's start with Bloodletter because we have it equipped. Bloodletter E below 40% life. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to wound this thing down to 40%, and then we're going to press E on it. And we're going to see the combat log damage that it takes. And we're going to do this fully buffed, because in actual combat, you would have your Q stacks all the way up. So, that did how much now? Let's see, that did 1,525. Bloodletter E. At max stacks. 1,000, what did we say? The combat log has already faded away from me. It is a 1,525 damage. Whoops. And then with a 30-second cooldown, 1525 divided by 30 is 50.83. Alright, and then Infernal, Scythe, E. And this one's a little more harder because you don't naturally just have stacks for your execute, right? And we can also test the Bloodletter without the stacks. That's totally fine. Or I can just pop Adrenaline Boost, right? Because generally, if you're executing a target, like, you're going to go all in. But you know what? Let's test it. Let's test Bloodletter without the Q stacks. I'm just going to auto it down to 40%. Just so we can get the numbers. Okay, that's enough. Don't kill it with autos. Let me just get my formatting better. Alright, so that hit for, let me reset my combat log, 1,375. Alright, so we have that number, and we're going to take 1,375 divided by 30 is 45.83. DPS. Alright, cool. So now it's time to test the Infernal Sith. We'll do a test with W Adrenaline Boost, which you might be using. Of course, you might be using Raging Blades, but you might not be. It's really situational. All right, let's find another target dummy for us to use. There's one. And then we'll have to go to another area because it's going to kill this one for sure. Now we also want to make sure that we don't kill it with the E. So how much do I do normally? I do, what is that, 537? Alright, so that took about, it's about 20% per hit. So one more E there should do it. And we're gonna type here in parentheses with adrenaline. Okay. So we're gonna activate adrenaline boost, and then we're gonna hit it. So that is 1,374. All right, 1,374. I can't type. All right, so 1,374, and well, what's the cooldown on that? 20 seconds. 1,374 divided by 20 is 68.7 DPS. Which is better than Bloodletter so far. Now, Infernal E, just flat Infernal E, execute. And we need to do it on this target, which, well, there is no more because I've killed them all. So we can, don't worry, we can go to another part and do it on a target. But essentially, this is how I test damage, guys. This is how I test if it's worth, like, leveling, okay? So, like, the question is Infernal Sith going to replace Bloodletter? Because the W is a better movement ability than anything Bloodletter has, although the Q is pretty darn good. The Q on axes also moves you forward a bit, you know? Like, and here's just another cool thing I just want to point this out, too. Is you can do other actions while your E is going off. So, like, I press E, and I can do my Q swings, right? Like, that combos, okay? So, you can combine both, and, like, let's say we're using Raging Blades. You can have all three of your abilities hitting the target at the same time, and we'll do that, too. We'll just to see how hard it frickin' hits, okay? Just to see if it's bursty. It might be, it might not be, I don't know. I haven't tested it. That's what we're doing now, okay? So, if you can actually run up on a player and then, like, full buff combo it, let's go, yeah, Bridgewatch. There was someone else in the test room in Bridgewatch earlier. You know what? Is my text on the screen properly? Yes, it is. Okay. Oh, this guy's on a donkey. Alright, just real quick, I do want to try, you know, my just a full burst combo. Which, you know, I just had, this is what I do in the test room. I get these ideas, and I just have to roll with them. And helmets. I definitely want Armor Shred helmet. There we go. So we're going to test that in a sec. Right? But for now, we're going to first test the Infernal Sith E without any steroids. But right now, Bloodletter has the biggest heavy hit for an execute, which is fine because you do have that Crypt Candle boosting it up. Right? But if you look, Infernal Sith does not have a Crypt Candle, and it's doing 1 whole point of damage less than the Bloodletter E with no stacks. So I think that's kind of cool. So we're going to see just how much Adrenaline Boost helps us in that. Did I even have it active? Like, it only lasts 3 seconds. Oh, there's my corpse. I was testing out Glacial Staff. It's still there, the Masterpiece. I'm going to yoink that. That thing took a while to craft. Okay. So let's, oh no, someone killed that one. Come on, don't tell me they're all dead. Okay, this one's alive. Cool. Cool. Alright, let's start attacking it. The autos are pretty dang damaging, okay? They hit pretty hard. You get a little defensive buff. Okay, so no steroid. We should be able to execute this. First hit, 537, 1,194. Let's pull that up. It is way down there. 1,194, and we're going to divide that by 20, and that is 59.7 DPS. So there we go. We now have the numbers. All right, that's cool. But I want to try a combo now. Okay, and that combo is we Hellion Shoes onto a target, and we just press all of our buttons like keyboard style. So that would be WEQQQ, and we're going to see how much damage that does. And I could put on a cape and test that too, but that's fine. We're just going to see how much damage we can do, like on a fully healed target, obviously, right? So this is basically damage steroids like crazy. Like the F is a damage steroid, the D is a steroid, the W is a steroid. So here we go. Here's our player, our victim. And yeah, we could use a druid robe to stack up the damage more. And if, you know, if this is a good test, we can go get a druid robe and slap it on and see what the damage is. So now that the text is off the screen, let's see the health values. Okay, let me get my calculator, 3225. Hit that minus key. Let's see how much health this sucker has. So we're going to press F. So W, D, E, Q, Q, and Q. And look at that. We just did, it's still bleeding. So now we just ran away because we're PvP, we're scared. Yo, look at that damage. Okay. Minus, what is that, 183? So we just did 3,042 damage in our combo. Which is, that'll kill a player. That'll kill your average player. Alright. Combo damage. But you know what? We could get that higher. I know we can get that higher. Let me move this down here, and there we go. That's pretty powerful, guys. I mean, that's not the best. There's way more powerful combos out there, obviously. But the cool thing is that all this stuff is going off at the same time. So what if instead I press, I press W into E. But what if I press E into double, I don't know. Let's just try the combo again. So we pressed F. Like, see, that did even more damage. I gotta run away or this thing's gonna bleed out. There we go. So I used E first after F, then I pressed W and then QQQ, and yeah, that did even more damage. That was lethal to the statue. I would have to have a higher HP target to test this on. But what? Like you can try these combos. Did I even use D? I don't think I even used D in that. So yeah, let's F D E W Q. How about that? So we hit F, D, E, W, and then Q, Q, Q. Like, see, look at that. That did even more damage. It's gonna die before I run out of range. Okay, that almost killed this. Like, I mean, that would obviously kill the statue, right? But now, you got me wondering, what if I don't use D at all? Or, like, what if I saved D? Okay, so we F, W, Q, 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 D, E. How about that? I mean, that's obviously not as fast. Oh, and also remember, we're not using a stew, so we can increase our damage with a stew. If we threw a potion on the target, we can increase our damage. This is what I do all day in the test realm. I test these little crazy wacky combos to see what can just delete a player, right? All right, so let's say we press F, and then we're gonna W, Q, 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 hit him with the D, hit him with the E. See, that did less damage, so that's not a good combo at all. Like it's still survived that. A player will survive that. That sucked. You absolutely, it looks like what we want to do is we want our E to synergize with the F damage boost, right? And we want our W to also synergize with that damage boost. The Qs, like, what does more damage? Let's find out real quick. Does a full W do more damage? So that hit for, like, okay, 2640 is how much health it had remaining, right? So we're going to back out. And we need to beat 2640 with our Q spells. So that does beat our W, so that means our Q is a higher damage steroid than our W, right? So now you have me wondering, should we even use this W ability? It can go off while our E goes off, and our Q can go off at the same time. So the priority now is E stronger or weaker than Q? Obviously it's stronger, okay. So that means our order of operations is going to be F, E, so that it starts casting into D, into Q, 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 W. Which doesn't really make sense, because the W is a damage steroid. It really doesn't make sense to cast that last. What if, can we cast W while we're flying? Let's try that, guys. While we're teleporting to our target, right? Like right as soon as that bar ends. I feel like I missed a hit there. I don't know. That didn't feel right. Let's try it again. We gotta wait on our cooldowns. And, you know, this is a short cooldown, and so is the boots. I think this might be really good in Corrupted Dungeons. I don't know, man. Like, it's worth a shot, right? And it's like a cheat build. It's mostly a cheat build. You can always sub out, like, the helmet for a poison helmet or something, but I don't know. And I'm not weaving auto attacks in either with it, right? We're gonna F. E, W, D, Q, Q, Q. And, oh, okay, so in this instance, our W is just straight up missing. Our W is not hitting the target hardly at all because we're too close. So what else could we use? I mean, you could use Deadly Chop, and that's going to lower their damage resistance? I don't know. Let's try it. F into W into, like, can you cast W while your E is going off? Let's try that first, okay? So we're gonna go E into W and see if the W lands before the E lands. All right, here we go, lads. E into W. Boom. Whoa, what the guys, look how much damage we did in 2 hits. We're on to something crazy here, guys. Look how much damage we just did. In 2 hits, we did 1,870 damage in 2 hits. But here, okay, now I gotta do that again and see, did the combat log, which one hits first? Okay, maybe a high ping player can't do this, but say I'm next to the target and I press, like in their man fighting, they're not running away because I think W roots you, but like if we press E into W, which hit first in the combat log? Alright. So Bloody Reap hit first on the first swing, then Deadly Chop hit, and then the second hit of E hit, which increased the damage by about 84 damage. So that's cool, but what does more damage? What if we use our adrenaline boost, right? Like we adrenaline boost or while we're flying, or here's another question. If we cast E and then adrenaline boost, do we get the damage bonus? Here's the base damage. 500, 524. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cast E, and then we're going to cast W and see if it raises the damage. Because, believe it or not, sometimes the people that code these games, it won't raise the damage. Alright? And this is how you learn how to use your weapon and how to fight things. And this is why the test realm is super vital. So we're going to press E and then W immediately. So, yeah, see? You see there, guys? I pressed W before the first hit landed, but because I already committed to the spell, the damage did not go up. So, what that means is when I was doing Whirling Blades, or Raging Blades rather, I'm sorry, that the damage would not commit properly. Like, that is not stacking damage. So what this means is that I need to cast W, D, and F before I cast E. So let's try that now. So you have to cast F first. So F, D, and then we commit to the attack, and then boom, boom. So, holy crap, look at the damage. That is just E. That is just E, guys. That did 1353, right? That did 1,800 something damage, just off the top of my head. 1,800 damage in one ability. It's crazy. So what? How long does this last? It lasts for 3 seconds. That's not long enough to apply to cast our E spell, right? At the same time, we might, instead of using this D, we might be able to, use like a marching helmet or even the royal boots instead. That might be a better alternative to this playstyle. But, yeah, that's crazy. How long does this last? This is 4 seconds, this is 4 seconds, and this is 3.5 seconds. Because if you don't use an attack on it, of course. So how can we use this to our advantage? Alright, so we're teleporting. And then we're just going to hit them with the Qs. Like, it's so much damage, guys. Now the trick is, how do we make this combo bring them below 40% life and outright kill them with the second hit immediately? That's the goal. That's the goal, okay? So what if we combine FD, we cast... Can you cast E while casting W? Let's try that first, because, look, here's W. It's got like a little load bar at the bottom. I don't think we can cast anything while we do that, but let's try, okay? Because this is an armor shred ability, which is great. But you have to see, is the armor shred stronger than the steroid? All right, that's another test. So we're gonna press W into E and see which works. So obviously I can't, but that lets me hit for 608, okay? So with the armor shred, we're hitting for 608. With this steroid, let's see how much we hit for. See if it's 608 or higher. Now this is also it also doubles as mobility, you know, of course. And press W and see if it's more than 608. It is 605. So you lose 3 points of damage, but you gain all this mobility. So already we can tell you that W2 is a better skill. All right. This one is just for healing, received and reduced, and this one just puts a bleed on them. All right, Raging Blades. Let's see if you get a full Raging Blades on a player. Or, hey, here's an idea. Raging Blades into F into D into E. Okay? So check it out. Raging Blades into F, so I'm hitting them while invisible. D into E. That did a pretty good amount of damage. I don't think our E got the steroid buff of W. Let's look at the combat logging. Well, actually we can't, because we had 2 other steroids running. So what we need to do is see... Can we do this any faster? Let's try the combo again, guys. See, I definitely got it, right? I definitely got the W cast off while invisible. And I got the E off, and it was hitting for like 1,000 each. But we're still not able to execute our target in one instant combo. Now, let's calculate how much damage does the W give us. So it's 5 hits. And then we press E. 589. So right now, what this tells us is that W2 is better than the last W, but remember, this actually does damage to the target, right? Whereas this one does not. So, and this one requires that we're next to our target instead of, you know, being from far away. So I'm going to go with W2 instead as for this combo, right? All right, so let's weave in autos and Qs and see what we can do. So I'm going to press F, and then as soon as I start teleporting, W to D, E, and then we have all of our steroids running, and look at that. Hit him with the auto, and look at that, he's dead. That kills him. That's a dead target. So that would be the combo. And now we can just go to the live realm, you know, like an arena, and test out a build like this and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, well, hey, you know, we did testing on the test run. We can see that it will kill a player. It will absolutely delete a player if you get the combo off. All right, and the cool thing with Q3 is on the 3rd hit, it roots them. They are rooted and can't run away. So, also, it propels you forward. For those that don't know, like here's a cougar. I'm just gonna walk over here. I'm not gonna use any mouse abilities. I'm gonna press Q, Q, and then look, it jumps you forward, right? And that hit is going to root them, and that's when they're going to be hit by this thing, right? Which all goes off at the same time. And these boots have a pretty low cooldown, and you could chase. You know, you could chase with this. Just give them a smack. Give them another smack, and you can keep running. Like, you have high mobility with this. I think this can work. I think this might be a meta weapon. It could be, like, you could probably maybe farm dungeons with it very quickly. I don't know, right? I can put on my dungeon farming set, and we can go run a dungeon and see how fast it is. I don't know how fast it'll be compared to, like, bolt casters or anything, but see, like, here's some dungeons right here. Even without my leather items on, let's just see how fast we can delete a mob. Let me just turn this off real quick. And yeah, this will pretty much be it. We're going to see how fast our Qs hurt the mobs. We're going to be using W for a steroid. Obviously, the last W spell, Raging Blades, is good for mob clear, right? But let's see how many hits this takes. That's 1, and they're going to bleed out. Okay, so that was 1 Q. And we immediately get that off cooldown. So now we're going to run at them. 1 Q, 2 Qs. Wait, I'm going to hit them with a 3rd Q here. And I've got everyone around me. How's the mana consumption? That's another thing, right? Like, see, now, I could already have killed this with, like, light crossbow very quickly. But again, normally what you would do is your Spectre Jacket would be dealing all the damage, and you're just kind of running along, right? Alright, so as we can see, we would need to test this with, you know, Spectre Jacket. But for regular mobs, of course the E is going to delete stuff, right? Especially when they're low on health, you know, and with damage steroids. You know, I can see this working. I'll need to do more testing. Like, those guys will bleed out. Hit the damage steroid. The mobs get executed on that second hit no matter what, because the first hit brings them below 40. Easy. And, yeah. So, can I spam Qs on this guy and kill him? No. Even with autos, I can't do it. But the fact that it kills the shield guys in 2 hits with E, that's not bad. But how do we do on bosses? How fast can we murder down a boss? And for that, we're going to switch to Refreshing Sprint instead of, well, the little damage teleport. Let's just run straight to the boss. The boss is right down here. It's just going to take a few more minutes. I know this is kind of a longer video, but hopefully this will give you an idea of how you can test weapons to see what builds would work for you, what you like doing. Maybe you want to pursue PvP. And so with this weapon, which recently changed both in its Q3 ability and its E ability, we ran tests, we got DPS damage numbers, and, you know, I think we made a lot of progress today. So I'm just going to run straight up to the boss. Just hit him with everything I've got. So there we go. We did about 45% of its health. We're not really, like, doing a lot compared to, like, crossbow. But, well, it is dead. So, I mean, that was pretty quick. Remember, this is with max spec and all axes. So if I was to further test this, like for my live character, what I would do is I would lower these down to what specs that I have on the live realm. So I have like level 21 spec or something in Battle Axe. I have 100 in Great Axe, but I don't have anything in these. So what I would do is I would lower these down to 1 so that I can get a better damage representative number. Move this to 100 because I have the combat fame to level this to 100 on the live server. And I didn't clear the mob, so I can't loot the stuff. But yeah, I'm SwoleBenji. That's my test educational video on how to test damage and stuff. Thanks for watching. As always, be a bro, stay swole. Make sure you return your shopping carts. Leave a like and a comment. If you do both, it is an algorithm cheat code. It is a YouTube combo. All right, and make sure you subscribe. 72% of you aren't subscribed. Okay. Click the subscribe button. I know my videos show up in your feed every day, but they won't always, okay? Subscribe. It's completely free. You can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. I do appreciate those that did subscribe. Thank you, lads. I will see you in the next one.